world where achievements and accolades motivate us to do more and be more, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
Deep inside, you know there is more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old, push your way through, and claim the deeper life that's calling you.
That's where we excel.
We're your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren and Stephanie.
And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Sit back and relax as we share the shortcuts we've uncovered to help you make shift happen.
Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader. This is Stephanie Allen, and I'm here with Maren and Stephanie, and we are excited to talk today a little bit about something that is dear and true to our hearts, and it will allow you to get energy in a different sort of way. And that's goals and intentions, because we say that in a different sort of way because, we talk about this time of year, at the beginning of the year, we're talking about what are your goals for this year? What are you going to do? What are you going to achieve? And how empty that can feel, or how stressful that can be at times. Like you're always, whether it's about losing weight, whether it's about having more love in your life, whether it's about goal setting for your family or your work or your career, or even in, giving back to our world, we can put those things outside of ourselves and have them as check boxes, and those would be goals. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference of those today and how they can be shifted to really nourish you in body, mind, and soul, as well as getting everything that you want and even more. So finding that happy place within and outside.
I think that's fantastic. One of the things that Stephanie and I were talking about just before we got on was how there is a disease of high achievers. And that sounds strange. And when you look at it, and I know most of our audience are high achievers because leaders we tend to be, right? And you're going to recognize this in your own life. There is this burnout and overwhelm that ends up happening because we find ourselves in a cycle of goal achievement, goal achievement, goal achievement, and it's never enough. We hit our goal and it's not yet enough. So we have to do more. And there's always this chasing the next thing. And what chasing does is it gets us into our adrenaline rush. Adrenaline actually depletes our body. We need it, like the fight or flight, right? So we end up in fight or flight. Our adrenaline comes up and then we crash after adrenaline rushes. So we get addicted to this cycle of adrenaline rush. And then when we'll have one of two outcomes. We either achieve our goal or we don't achieve our goal. And this is going to sound strange, but it is a lose-lose proposition. When we achieve our goal, we actually get a dopamine hit, but the dopamine hit is such a huge hit and it doesn't last that then we crash, just like with the adrenaline, and then we need to do more. So we find ourselves in the cycle. If we don't achieve our goal, we feel like failures and we have to do more. And it keeps us locked in this more, chase. And we never get to that actual realization and the happiness that we were seeking in the first place. And that's where Stephanie is going to talk a little bit more about intentions. Like what, I'm not saying that goals are a bad thing. I just want us to think about them differently and use them in a more proactive way that supports us instead of depleting us. And that comes from intention.
It's such a good point too, because, goals aren't good, bad, right, wrong. We're not saying that. It is important to have goals, of course, but they're more outer focus. They're more performance-based, and without having some sort of ground of being, of connectedness, which is an intention, they will literally lead you to a lose-lose situation and constantly in an addictive cycle. So how do you do that? How do you make goals supportive and loving and enjoyable rather than depleting? Is that we create an intention. And I would say even that word of intention is it's inside of us. It's something that really connects to our heart and our soul and the meaning and being for life. So one of the things that I like to do in the beginning of every year is to actually set like a one-word intention. And here's an example of that. So this year is a lot about, each year I have a different word, but this year is a lot about love. And what does love really mean? And how do so I could set up a whole bunch of goals. It's like, oh, well, I know I'm loved when this, and this happens. But ultimately, what is love? Who do I need to be to connect to love? It becomes a beingness, a more inward experience with intentions. So just think for yourself right now. You might have some certain goals, which are totally okay for this year. What would be the intention that would help you, that would literally connect to you to be able to sustain that and to grow it? That's ever evolving.
So I love this. And how do they know, like, can you give them a tool to like, okay, that's kind of an interesting thought. How do I get to that intention? How do I find what that intention is?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can start with a goal. A goal can be a good leading thing. So let's say a goal is to pay off your debt. Maybe you have say, I want to make some extra money this year to be able to pay off some debts. And, I can say, well, so that what? Like, who cares? Like, really? Like, there's lots of different ways that could achieve. Like, you could pay off your debt. You could get another loan. You could sweet talk your one of your relatives and have an angel investor or something. I mean, you could start your own business. You could there's all kinds of ways to really create more income. You could sell things. You could eliminate things. But again, these are all in the outer world. So it's important to ask yourself, so that what? Like, why would that be important to me? Like, what does that really mean? And it might say, well, I'd be able to have some breathing space. I'd be able to like relax. Oh, relax. That's a good intention. Mm. So where do you want to relax more in your life? Where, so that what? Why is relaxing important? Oh my gosh. Well, if I was more relaxed, my relationship with my partner would be more at peace. I probably wouldn't stay up late at night and eating in front of the fridge. So my health and my well-being would be more. I wouldn't worry so much. So I'd have a better sleep. I wouldn't have so much inflammation and adrenaline in my system. So I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have energy. I mean, you can make all of these, like, it's like, oh, geez, well, this relax drug is like a really good thing, isn't it? Well, who would I need to be in order to relax? And that's the question we would say, now you have to let go of certain things, a certain way of seeing yourself or being in this world, a habit, a behavior, a belief system. Now we're talking about intentions. Wow. And that opens up the whole doorway for the goals to come easier. And then you're not attached to whether a goal is a success or a failure or, emptiness or fulfillment. It's like you're getting that inner fulfillment inside. So even if that goal doesn't get manifested a certain way, you're not attached to it. You're like, okay, there must be another way. I'm going to stay relaxed about it.
I love that. And I have an example of that from my own life that I did talk briefly about in one of our other podcasts. So when I opened my studio, I did so. The intention behind it was I really wanted to create an income stream so that my husband could leave the financial trading industry because he was in full-on burnout and was a super high achiever. He's an amazing man and was at the top levels of the financial trading industry, which had completely taken its toll on him. And I was like, all right, I need to generate a certain amount of income to allow him to, exit. And so the intention was Jeff exiting and us, our life being less stressful, his life being less stressful, therefore mine also, right? And the goal was to make a certain amount of money to allow us that to happen. Well, so I opened the studio and I'm working, doing my own high achiever thing. And something happened in my father's life where he wanted to give us some inheritance early. And suddenly we had the money that Jeff didn't need to work anymore. So Jeff quit his job and started doing something that he loved. And I forgot the intention. And I was so caught up in the goal and achieving the goal. And I would hit it some years and I would not hit it other years. And I was in that cycle that I talked about at the beginning, that adrenaline rush, dopamine hit cycle of not enough, constantly chasing and needing more. And I didn't appreciate what was there in front of me. And I burned myself out doing all of that stuff. So when we say that goals are a tool and there's not a right, wrong, good, bad, it just is a tool. It's so important to understand where that tool fits into our arsenal. We tend to think that it's the be all end all, and that is the answer to our prayers and our happiness quotient. And it's not. The intention behind it is. So doing that awareness practice, actually, that Stephanie just gave us, right? It's truly an awareness. It's a self-awareness practice of peeling the layers of the onion and finding out what's behind the goal, what's truly important, and what am I going for? Because for me, if I had taken a moment and gone, hey, we achieved that, I would have been in an enough mindset. And who knows what could have happened, what gifts the universe would have provided at that point, because I was telling the universe, I need to do more to get to this thing. And the universe goes, okay, you need to do more, so do more. Versus if I had been in a place of like, hey, we're there. I've got it. I've got everything that I need. And then I tell the universe, oh, I need this. So if I am coming from a place of, I have everything that I need, and that's truly my reality of, I have everything that I need. And then I said to the universe, hey, I need some extra money over here. The universe goes, oh, she has everything that she needs. So she needs this. Here you go. It's so amazing. It seems backwards, and that's the way that it works. It's beautiful.
And it actually is backwards. I always say, when I work with clients, they'll say, oh, I need to do this in order to have that so I can be that. So it's like, a do have be, right? And I said, right. No, actually, it's actually the other way around, like reverse it. When I am being appreciative or grateful or realizing that, I can be relaxed, then I will have whatever, more money, more time, more energy. Then I can do this. It's backwards. That
is so key, Stephanie. That is so
We're dyslexic.
Key. Yeah.
We're dyslexic.
I mean, that is like, if you wanted to distill it down to one thing, that's it. It's like, we have to be in order to have a do. And we've been trained to do in order to have and be.
Right.
That's
like,
crazy.
I'll use this with people who are saying, hey, I want to lose weight. Well, okay, great. You want to lose weight. So what does that really mean? Like, so why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to be able to, run around with my grandchildren or my children. And I want to be able to feel like I can pick them up and be strong and healthy. But right now I don't like my body. I'm not comfortable in my body. Everything's tight. I'm out of breath. And it's like, okay, so you want to lose 20 pounds, say. I'll just use that. I'm like, okay, so who will you be? Like, let's just go to the future. Who will you be when you are lighter in your body? You're picking up your children, you're playing, oh, I'd be happy. I'd be so happy. I'd be at peace with myself. I'd love myself. Oh, these are your intentions, and then you'll have what? Oh, I'll have more energy.
Yeah.
And then, and it's like, so we need to reverse this. It's like, go to the end in mind and say, okay, what are those qualities that you will be when you have that, whatever that is? And it then allowing it from the inside out to actually allow your choices and your actions. And that will sit, your goals are good. Your goals are good. That kind of guide you there, but that intention is the bigger being that will literally draw, like what Maren said with her whole experience of helping her husband, be able to leave his job, didn't come in the way, if they had set goals, they came from that internal realization, and the universe literally provided. I think, we totally don't even recruit the universe is our guide. The universe is our angel. It will, and that's our heart and our soul. And we're talking about soulful leaders here. So it's like, we're not headful leaders. There's enough of those out there already. We need to, so if I could sum it up, I say goals generally are from the head if you start there first. But if you start from the heart of an intention, then the goals come from the heart too. And you're not as attached to them. And you're also opened in your heart to receive them in a different way.
In a different way. And I found that for myself, that's really when I am in alignment with life, the surprises and the gifts and the amazingness that happens, it's crazy. And like setting the goal of making X amount in order for my husband to, was important. I did want that goal. It just was that I got attached to the way that it looked of how I was going to achieve it, of the goal has to be like this. And I lost track of the intention behind it. And we had achieved that intention. And instead of allowing for that gift from the universe, I kept beating myself up and got myself into a place of overwhelm and stress. Right. And that's when going back to what I said at the beginning, that's the disease of us as overachievers, overwhelm and stress, burnout. And we've all experienced it. It's that go, do. And we do forget, or we don't even know that we're dyslexic, that it's about the being.
So just to sum it up, looking at that, it's like, do it backwards. Do it backwards. Put the being first and the doing will come.
Yeah.
And so asking yourself, not what do I want to have or what do I want to do? Ask, who do I want to be? Or what will require, from me to become in order to do and have.
I liked what the exercise you gave them earlier of just peel those layers, start with the goal that you have and really ask some questions about it. Like, why do I want that? What would happen if I achieved that? What would my life look like? Who would I be in that situation? And start to peel those layers and bring some higher awareness to the bigger why. Right. So that if it shows up like it did in my life, if it shows up, which oftentimes it does, from a different direction, you don't dismiss it like I did. And you actually welcome it.
And you welcome it and you become surprised and delighted. Like, don't we want to be more surprised and delighted in our life each day from a happy place? Not from like, I don't want to be surprised and delighted. I want to be surprised and delighted. Delighted is the key word.
Delighted is the key, not surprised and horrified, right?
Exactly. So intentions, what a great thing to be able to start off this year is like really looking at your intentions and let your intentions guide you to be able to set the goals as tools for your life.
Yeah. Let the magic happen for you instead of being in that constant chase mode. And I know there's a couple more layers of this that I want to talk about. So maybe we could do another podcast on this in the future, because one of the things that I was reminded of by one of my teachers, Juliana Garcia, was how to get to that place where you have consistent dopamine that you're creating in your system, like literally every day, so that you get out of that chase and into a habit of joy. Imagine that habit of joy. The cool thing about that habit of joy is that it also leads to getting ahead of your goals, not just achieving them, but getting ahead of them. So hopefully we can talk about that next week.
I love that. What a great place to pause here. And we're just so excited to be able to continue this dialogue and hope you will join us. Join us on the soulfulleaderpodcast.com. That's our website. And by all means, join us and give us your feedback, what you love, what you'd love to hear more of. We'd love to reach out and help you become more connected to that soulful leader from a surprised and delighted place.
I love it. See you next week.
And that wraps up another episode of the Soulful Leader Podcast with your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren and Stephanie. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to dive deeper, head over to our website at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com.
Until next time.